He has pursued his PhD in computer science from Bharatiya University. He has more than 25 years of experience in software development, testing, and quality engineering. His areas of expertise include automotive and mobile software. He was working with different MNCs such as LG Soft India, Tata Elxsi, and CG Smith Software under different capacities. Currently, he is founder and CEO of a startup company called Digitron Solutions and providing digital transformation based solution. He started his career as an assembly programmer, played a key role in design and development of automotive software and testing automotive and mobile software. He also contributed as an appraisal team member for CMMI level 3 and 5 appraisals and playing a key role in improving the organization process through Six Sigma projects. His academic interests are software engineering, testing, and software automation, so we can definitely have some guidance from him. He has published several papers relevant to software engineering in international journals and IEEE conferences. He is an associate member of Institution of Engineer, a lifetime member of CSI, and a member of IEEE, ACM, and IIT. Dr. Anbunathan was elected as a chairman for Computer CSI India, CSI Bangalore chapter. He is a visionary with the mission of making innovative products based on digital transformation technologies such as AI, blockchain, IoT, cloud, big data analytics, Web 4.0, Android, 5G, and autonomous vehicles. Anbunathan sir, we would like to welcome you. Kindly take over the session now.
Thanks, madam. I will start now. So let us start with column-oriented databases.
All the participants are requested to keep their camera and mic off.
So the agenda is just we will introduce our company, then column-oriented databases, then HBase. So we have around in HBase some 3-4 tutorials are there. Then Cassandra 7-8 tutorials are there. So totally around 10 plus tutorials are there. So what I'll do quickly, I'll finish the column-oriented database. I'll start HBase also. So if somebody want to do hands-on in parallel, you can also do. Yesterday, Sudeep sir already he sent the instructions how to install HBase and Cassandra. So you can keep your laptop or PC ready. Anyway, I will show the demo. If you ask me to wait, I'll wait. Otherwise, I'll move on. So HBase also will start. So Digitron Solutions. So what about this company? This is the digital transformation makes many changes in our daily life. It brings changes in leadership, innovative thinking, new product ideas, and new business models. Digital transformation involves modern technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, cloud, big data, data science, Web 4.0, mobility, 5G, social media, 3D printing, and autonomous vehicles. Some are like AR, VR, then image processing. Like this, the list is going on. So Digitron Solutions provides development support for new products based on digital transformation technologies. So many interns are associated with us, and they are also involving in our products. So one of the product which is already delivered to the market is TestBot. So it is mimicking the human activities, like it generates test cases, test scripts, test applications, and test results. The inputs are like UML diagrams and a SQL database. So it generates that whatever test case in graphical format, then test script it generates, then it executes the test cases, test APKs are generated, test results are generated. So you can see more details in our website. So AI-powered intelligent document finder. So this is semantic-based search. So PDF, Word, XLS, PPT you can find. So, for example, a doctor can search the similar cancer patients who are in the history. So the AI-powered recommendation system, it is similar to our Amazon website. When you buy one saree, it will display another 100 sarees. So same way, it checks with the old customer. The new customer is how much he is close to the old customer. Then he is a similar customer. It will identify. Then it will recommend the data, the products. Suppose if he buys ice cream, then it will recommend the similar products. Some of the prototypes. So these are all Medium articles are released. So what I'll do, I'll send all Medium articles link in this chat box. You can note down the link. Just a minute. I'll just send it. So totally 7 articles are there. You can go through that. So this is the first one, the smart home solution. Is the one based on the voice command. You can switch on and switch off the fan in your home. So it involves 5 technologies: AI, data science, IoT, Android, and cloud computing. So next one is gesture recognition. So you saw the palm or fist. Based on the gesture, it will switch on and it will open and close the door. So it involves 5 technologies: AI, data science, IoT, Android, and cloud computing. Then the smart contract based solution. So here what is happening, you are entering the smart contract, you are depositing some token, withdrawing the token. When you deposit the token, it will switch on the light. When you withdraw the token, it will switch off the light. So here blockchain, IoT, Web 3.0, and cloud computing, 4 technologies are used. The next one is the Android based solution, Android plus blockchain. So here the same application only, instead of typing the command line, we are typing in the Android application. So we are just entering the Android application, we are depositing the token and withdrawing the token through one Android application. So here 5 technologies are used: Android, blockchain, IoT, Web 3.1, and cloud computing. This is the ultimate thing. Here face recognition using AI. So here the door is open and closed. So here 7 technologies are used: AI, data science, Android, blockchain, IoT, Web 3.1, cloud computing. Now what is next here? Here what we will do is what this month what my research is. Here I added 2 more, 8 and 9, big data analytics and social media. So this is my research. So I'm working on this. Mostly will be done within 1 or 2 weeks. That is the next step. So there is a training charter, 72 hours. It's like going to Saravana store and buy everything. See, we have 7-story building. You visit each building and buy whatever groceries you need, or fruits, vegetables, whatever you need. Same thing here, everything in under one roof: machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, blockchain, Internet of Things, big data analytics, Hadoop ecosystem, big data analytics, Spark, data science, Android, Web 3.0, cloud computing, robotics. So all you can learn in one place. So just 72 hours you have to spend. So this is like going to Saravana store and buy everything one shot. Column-oriented databases. So we have introduction, row-oriented execution, column-oriented execution, experiments and conclusion. So introduction is column-oriented database. Each column is stored contiguously on a separate location on a disk. Column stores ideas begins in late 70. MonetDB and C store has been introduced in 2000s. Star Sigma schema benchmark, that is SSBM, has been implemented with column stores as well. We will see what is SSBM. So row-oriented execution, the implementation of column stores in a row-stored base system. Three techniques are being introduced: vertical partitioning, index-only plans, materialist view. So this is very important, materialist views. So this will, in Cassandra session, we'll see elaborately. I have some tutorials and example codes, so I will show you. So index-only plans, then vertical partitioning. So vertical partitioning process, full vertical process partitioning of each relation. So each column equal to one physical table. So here column is, we are considering this as one table. So each column one physical table. This can be achieved by adding integer position column to every table. Join on position for multi-column fetch. So the materialist views helps to join these two. Even though it is not a primary key, we can fetch the data. Problems. Position, the space and disk bandwidth, header for every tuple, further space waste. So some of the tables are read oriented, some are write oriented. We'll see what is read oriented and write oriented. Index only plans. See here the B plus tree. You know B plus tree, right? So the B plus tree, it stores in the leaves. The data is stored in the leaves section. So it is similar to Merkle tree in blockchain. So where leaves, this is having data. So here you can see 1 and 2 are here, 3 and 4 are here, and 5, 6, 7 are here. So the one more table which is having the indexes of, if it is less than 3, it will go this side. If it is greater than 5 and above, it will go this side. So in between whatever, the 3 to 5, it will search here. 3 and 4, it is searching. So like that, it is taking the different 3 different routes. So if it is whether less than 3 or 5 and above or 3 and 4, like that it is dividing. The indexes are stored in this way. So now easy to search and find the data in the leaves. So add B plus tree index for every table column. Build a list of, for example, record ID, value, pair, satisfying predicates on each table. Where is the list in memory when there are multiple predicates on the same table? So now finally we are merging the list. Here what is the problem? Separate indices may require full index scan, which is slower. For example, the SQL, if you see, the select average of salary from employee where age is greater than 40. With this predicate, if you want to search in the employee table, then average salary, if you want aggregate, if you want to see, then it takes a lot of time. Composite index with age and salary. So this key will help us. So already age is there, then salary is easy to pick. The materialist views. So process is create optimal set of materialist view for given query, workload, objective, provide just the required data, avoid overheads, performs better. So the primary key, even though it is not a primary key, still we can easily we can search. Expected to perform better than other two approaches. Here what is the problem? Practical only in limited situation. Require knowledge of query workloads in advance. So we should know, we should know the probability of what kind of query will come, and that probability we should be able to predict in advance. Column-oriented execution, optimization approaches to improve the performance of column stores. 4 techniques are used: compression, late materialization, block iteration, invisible join. So let us understand these 4 items. So this is the column-oriented database main features. What is compressor? So low information entropy, high data value locality leads to high impression ratio, high compression ratio. So the entropy is the low information. With less information, we can search a big database. Then disk space is saved. The advantages: less I/O from disk to memory. Performance can be further improved if we can perform operation directly on compressed data. So after compressing the data, we are doing the how we are doing the searches that we will see in the later slides. Lightweight compression schemes do better. The late materialization. Most query results entity at a time, not column at a time. So entity based search. So not column, no? Is complete column we need not worry. At some point of time, multiple column must be combined. So this is materialized view. Performance can be improved by using late materialization. Keep the data in columns until much later in the query plan, operating directly on these columns. For example, we have r.a, we have to select from R. There is a table where r.c is 1, r.b is equal to 7. Here, the bitwise AND is performed. So perform bitwise AND. That is why this is very fast. Output of each predicate is a bit string. Use final position list to extract r.a. Here advantages are unnecessary construction of tuple is avoided, direct operation on compressed data. We'll see some experiment result how it is helping to improve. So block iteration, operators operate on blocks of tuples at once. So instead of operate on blocks of tuples are identified. Those who operators are, for example, AND operation or whatever, is performed on blocks of tuples. So iterate over blocks rather than tuples. So that is one difference. Like batch processing, block of values from the same columns are sent to an operator in a single function call. If column is fixed with, it can be operated as an array. Minimizes per tuple overhead. So exploits potential for parallelism. So here, this is the main advantage here. We are using parallelism to do the search operation. The invisible join. Here you see this is star schema benchmark. So here you see this table, it connects all the other tables. So customer table or supplier table, then part, then date is there, then here order is linking all this. So invisible join means what? Find total revenue from Asian customers who purchase a product supplied by an Asian supplier between 1992 to 97, grouped by nation of the customer, supplier, and year of transaction. So we'll understand invisible join in subsequent slides, how the joins are happening, inner join and outer join. So invisible join, traditional plan for this type of query is to pipeline join in order of predicate selectivity. That is traditional way of doing. Alternate plan is late materialized join technique, but both have disadvantages. Traditional plan lacks all the advantages described previously of late materialization. In the late materialized join technique, group by columns need to be extracted in out of position order. So both are having some disadvantage. How we have to overcome this? So invisible join is a late materialized join, but minimize the values that need to be extracted out of order. So here rewrite joins into predicates and the foreign key columns in the fact table. So what is a fact table? Fact table is a central table in a star schema of a data warehouse. A fact table stores quantitative information for analysis and is often denormalized. So fact table works with dimension tables again. So the quantitative information is used for analysis. These predicates can be evaluated by hash lookup. We'll see how it is performed in the subsequent slides. Here, invisible, the first phase of invisible join. So hash table with keys 1 and 3, hash table with key 1, hash table with keys, some numbers are there. So this way, the hash keys are used for searching. We have some example. So I will explain in the Cassandra session. I will explain how one website I will open and I will explain. So here, see this region and nation, Asia and China and other. So here hash table with keys 1 and 3 we can pick actually. So then Asia is selected. Then here Asia and Europe both are having the hash table with key 1. Whereas the date table, if you see 1990 to 97, so this is the way you are getting the views. The second phase, if you see the fact table, whatever the central table, so order key, customer key, supplier key, order date, revenue and all that. So you are probing and then hash table again, you are using the hash, which one is on and which one is off. For example, 1 and 0 is used to find the bitwise and. For example, here you see the bitwise and is 1 here. So this is wherever 1 is there, that and if you do, then you will get see here 1 is there, 1 is there, 1 is there. So the bitwise and you see here 1 is there. But here 1 and this is 0. This is 1 again. You see here 0. Same way here 0, here 1, 1. So again 0. So like that, the bitwise AND is used to select the data. Here you see, again 1, 1, 1, all are 1. So you will get 1 here. Remaining all 0. So you see the which is matching the fact table. Only these two record is picked out of this so many records. The third phase, you can see here, once you get this 10001, there is the right bitmap value. Now you take the data from this particular fact table. So you can see the bitmap value extraction, 3 and 1 is there. Then position lookup, India and China, whereas here 1 and 1 is there. So in this case, position lookup is Russia. Then here, the date IDs are 1997. So you join this 1997. So the record will have all these 3 items. The baseline performance of C-store, that is column-wise store and system X. You see here system X, row store, that is RS, RS with materials view, then CS, that is column store. This is row store. This is column store. Then column store with row materialized view. These 4 items are there. You can see the performance. You see here which one is better. So the time in seconds is there. You can see here this particular thing is very less comparing with all. In this case, not there. See here you see here it's very less. Here. So which one is better? Column store is the experiment shows the column store is better than row store. Which one is worst actually? Worst you see row store. Row store takes more time. This block takes more time, whereas the column store, if you see the less time takes. This is the experiment conducted. One more is there. Here average performance across all the queries. So this is traditional with the bitmap, then materials view, vertical partitioning, all indexes. So 5 items. You can see here the materialized view, you see, it takes less time comparing with all other experiments. So this experiment shows the materialized view is better than all other techniques. Column store performance, again we'll see how the, see this is tuple at a time processing, block processing, that is small t, capital T is tuple at a time processing, T is block processing, capital I is invisible join enabled, small I is disabled, C is compression enabled, small c is disabled, L is late materialization enabled. Now you see which one is better? Small t and capital ICL. Small t is block processing, then ICL, capital ICL is invisible join enabled, capital C is compression enabled, and capital L is late materialization enabled. So all this column-oriented database gives the better result. So block processing, all these four, whatever we discussed now. So this is giving better results. So which is worst? This capital T and ICL, all small. Capital T is a tuple at a time. Then small I is which is disabled, invisible joint disabled. Small c is disabled. Small l is disabled. So this combination gives very worst behavior. So it takes a lot of time. Conclusion is to emulate column stores in a row stores, techniques like vertical partitioning, index only plan. So these two are no emulation is happening, does not yield good performance for the reasons tuple reconstruction cost, per tuple overhead, reasons why column stores have good performance. We saw this four features. One is late materialization, compression, block iteration, and invisible join. So with this understanding of column store, let us move to HBase. You will understand more about big data. Any questions here? So can we move to next section? So
Yes,
here,
sir.
yeah, here we have more practical oriented. So far we discussed theory, but now we are going to see, we'll balance both the slides and the practices. It is more on practical oriented. If you can parallelly do, so well and good. Otherwise, at least you see the demo. So here, the big data, where the HBase, how it works with the big data. HBase is not like Cassandra. Cassandra, you have SQL cell also there. You can SQL queries also you can run. But HBase is working with the basic concepts like Hadoop, then MapReduce, then HDFS. So all are involved actually. HBase links everything in the big data analytics. So it links everything. So one good thing is you will learn everything today. So HDFS, MapReduce, Hadoop, then we have Hive also, then Peak also, then Zookeeper. So all these are linked with HBase. So all our tutorials and whatever exercise what we are going to do now, all involve this HBase, involve all this Hadoop, MapReduce, HDFS, Hive, Pig, and Zookeeper. So anyway, these items again and again will come. Even you use Spark also. The next session will see what is Spark, RDD. Then we'll see Cassandra. In that also again the Zookeeper will come. Everything will come again. So these are all the fundamentals of big data. Without understanding that, you cannot crack what is Couchbase, what is Cassandra. If you want to crack what is this NoSQL database, then you need to crack first these big data fundamentals. So let me explain the fundamentals. Then we'll go ahead with the HBase exercises. Practically, we are going to see how to work on this HBase. What is Hadoop? Hadoop is an open source distributed processing framework that manages So open source distributed processing. So what is distributed processing? You have different nodes. So you are assigning some job here and here and here. So it will map first, map with some subtasks, then it will reduce back to the, then it will converge. All the result will be converged. So first you are diverging in map phase, you are diverging to different machines. Then computation happening in a distributed way. Again, you are converging in the reduced phase. The result you are getting as a single result you will get. So open source distributed processing framework that manages data processing and storage for big data applications running in cluster system. So here the idea is, suppose Amazon you are searching on query, the query goes to some hundreds of machines and it picks data from hundreds of machines and then assemble all the data and it displays. It is at the center of growing ecosystem of big data technologies that are primarily used to support advanced analytics initiatives, including predictive analytics and data mining and machine learning applications. So the big picture of big data is, so you should have the, so the idea is, so it starts with Hadoop, then MapReduce, then these are all fundamentals. Now we are using Spark, and then a Spark ecosystem with the streaming for Kafka, and these are all advanced systems like Kafka and then visualization techniques like Superset or whatever, Kylo or whatever you can use. So those kind of things are used now. But the fundamental is starting from here. Hadoop, and without understanding Hadoop and all, you cannot work on Spark or Kafka or and then the Superset. For example, our interns, the business intelligence, the business analytics people, they have to understand what is data science, then they have to understand data analytics, then they have to understand the data visualization. So in data analytics, we are doing with AI and machine learning, all those stuff will come into picture. So Hadoop can handle various forms of structured and unstructured data. That is the advantage of the Hadoop. So far, our systems, it was working on SQL. The SQL is that is structured data. The tables are structured, but in the Hadoop is the system which is working on structured as well as unstructured. So, NoSQL means, what is NoSQL? NoSQL is not only SQL. You can work on unstructured data also, giving users more flexibility for collecting, processing, and analyzing data than relational database and data warehouses provide. So what are Hadoop components? So Hadoop is having HDFS, a file system that manages storage of and access to data distributed across various nodes of Hadoop cluster. So when we are doing the exercise, suddenly you will get HDFS and this file system. So without understanding this, you cannot work on this exercise. Then Yarn is the system where the resource manager responsible for allocating system resources to applications and scheduling jobs. What is MapReduce? A programming framework and processing engine used to run large-scale batch application. So now all our NoSQL data sources, all it depends on batch application or batch processing in Hadoop systems. So Hadoop Common is a set of utilities and libraries that provide underlying capabilities required by the other pieces of Hadoop. So Hadoop library is very big. So you start learning throughout your life, you can learn, like it is going on. 100 plus is there. So you keep on learning. So this is one Hadoop ecosystem. For example, we have operating system like Red Hat, Ubuntu, Windows, whatever. We have Java virtual machine. On top of that, see, we have different ecosystems. So the central part is MapReduce, Yarn, and HDFS. HDFS is distributed storage, whereas MapReduce is distributed processing, whereas Yarn is distributed scheduling. Here you have the pig is the application, Hive is another application, HBase is the database, then Cassandra is another database, HCatalog, Lucene, Hama, Crunch, Avro, Thrift, Drill, and Mahout. So here we have management and monitoring orientation. Zookeeper is mainly used. Apart from that, Woozy and Ambari are also used. Then this side you see data integration, where Scoop and Flume and Chukwa and all use. So the streaming also there. The streaming part is taken care by Kafka mainly. Then we have other databases which is very the Elasticsearch is one very famous. Then data visualization also there. For data visualization, we have Superset, Kylo. So like that, some n number of visualization tools are there. Some of things we'll see today. So we have data access, data storage, interaction, visualization, execution, development, then data serialization, data intelligence. So many concepts are there in the big data. So you have to integrate AI and ML also, so that you will get the analytics properly. So what is HDFS? Hadoop distributed file system. HDFS is the primary data storage system used by Hadoop applications. So it is different than our normal file storage. So it is built for handling the big data and the parallelism. It employs a name node and data nodes architecture to implement in a distributed file system. The name node you can consider as a master node, then data node you can consider as some slave nodes. So you can add n number of slave nodes. One master node you keep. It provides high performance access to data across highly scalable Hadoop clusters. So we have different kind of clusters. Hadoop cluster, now Spark also there. Spark clusters are created. HDFS architecture. Client is there, then we have name node, secondary name node, and then cluster membership. See here data nodes, n number of data nodes are there. You can keep on adding, you can scale up and scale out also. So here you read data and write data. So block ID, data nodes are there, file name is given here. So name node is what? Maps a file to a file ID and the list of map nodes. What is data node? Maps a block ID to a physical location of a disk. So it is like a master, just it selects where the data should go. Secondary name node is periodic merge of transaction log. So it maintains the log. So what is MapReduce? So iterate over a large number of records. So MapReduce is just diverge first, then converge. Converge is reduce. Diverge is map. So you first send all the data to different machines. Computation should happen here. Then from that machines, you take all the data and then aggregate, and then you reduce. Use reduce function to aggregate, and then display the data. Extract something of interest from each. Shuffle and sort intermediate results. Aggregate is the major one. Aggregate intermediate results. For what is aggregate? It can be an average. For example, you have 1 million data, send 1,000 to different machine, calculate the average, so then merge all the data, then again find the aggregate, finally you display average of 1 million data, generate final output. So advantage is your machine may not handle 1 million data, but here some lot of machines which is in the cluster, it will compute and then it will aggregate, and then it will. So it's a serverless. Basically, there is no server. It's a distributed processing, distributed computing. So distributed processing, distributed computing, then distributed database. So all are distributed. Generate final output. So this is map part. This is reduce part. Aggregate intermediate results and generate final output. Key idea is provide a functional abstraction for these two operations. What is MapReduce here? The input is given here, split happening here, map function is happening here, combine is happening here, partition is happening, then reduce is happening. For example, we have XBB, CBA, XAC. So these data are there. Then we are dividing this data into different chunks, XBB separately, CBA, XAC, then X comma 1, B comma 1. Again, further split we are mapping now. Then CBA, then XAC. Now you see again, this is A comma, see this A is here also A is there. So C is here, then here C is there. Then B is in 3 places. So all, so you can see this combination of data is happening. Similar data are combined here. A 2 times, B 3 times, C 3 times, 2 times, X is 2 times. So here X is 1 time, 2 times. So now you see the partition is happening. Now it is separately processed, and then you see reduce operation. Now you see how many A's are there? 2 A's are there. B, how many B's are there? 3 B's are there. How many C's are there? 2 C's are there. How many X? 2 X are happening. That is the reduce phase where aggregation is happening. So this is aggregation. Find number of count of the word count is the one famous problem. So here it is counting how many words are there in a big data. So the execution, how it happens. So input, map, shuffle and sort, then reduce, output. The quick brown fox, the fox ate the mouse, how now brown cow. Now the map function is happening here. So here you see the 1 time, brown is 1 time, fox is 1 time. The fox, the cow, now brown. So now the reduce action is happening here. The quick is going here, ate, mouse and cow is going. So these are all aggregated here. These are all aggregated here. The computation happening in 2 different places. Then finally, the output is reduced and then combined here. See, you can see here, brown is 2 times, fox is 2 times, cow is 1 time, now is 1 time. These 3 times, 8 is 1 time, cow is 1 time, mouse is 1 time, quick 1 time. So like that, the word count is happening at the end. You can see the result in one place. So this is a word count problem, which is very, very famous in big data analytics. Now let us enter into the HBase. What is HBase? HBase is an open source distributed column-oriented database built on top of HDFS based on Bigtable. So Bigtable is the one Google, that is a research paper released by Google. So here HBase, so it's a read operation is happening and write operation is happening. So here data consumer, which is using the read operation, whereas the data producer, it performs write operation. So the HDFS is the storage where the read and write operations actually happens with HBase. So then column families, you can see here row key, personal data, professional data. So employee ID is the key, then personal data is name and city, professional data is designation and salary. So all are stored in the table. So what is HBase? A distributed data store that can scale horizontally to thousands of commodity servers and petabytes indexed storage, designed to operate on top of the Hadoop distributed file system, HDFS or Cosmos file, KFS, cloud store for scalability. So fault tolerance, high availability. So we'll see how the fault tolerance and the high availability in the second session, in the Cassandra session. So let us hold these two for some time. So data model. Tables are sorted by row. Table schema only define its column families. Each family consists of any number of columns. So the family consists of many columns. Each column consists of any number of versions. Columns only exist when inserted. Nulls are also available. So in the SQL database, nulls means it will create no, the error, but here nulls also useful. Columns within a family are sorted and stored together. This is very important point. Earlier in the SQL database, column means it is no unique for, but here one family can have multiple columns. So everything except table names are byte. Row, family contains many columns, timestamp. Finally, the value is stored. So so here you see the row key is com.cnn.www. Column family is anchor cnnsi.com. Here you can see CNN is there. There is tuple 9, then cnn.com is tuple 8. So again, another family, and this is the content like the HTML link and the tuples 3, 5, 6, and all there. So timestamp also there. You can use timestamps and value also. So members, a master is there, then responsible for monitoring region servers. So one master will monitor several region servers. So load balancing for regions. So here load balancing we have to do because so the equally distributed, the load is how equally distributed or not. Redirect client to correct region servers, the current SPOF. So then serving requests like write, read, and scan of client, send heartbeat to master. So whether this is alive or not, this node sometimes node will not be alive, then this data will be taken and given to next. Throughput and region numbers are scalable by region servers. What is the architecture? So client is there. Zookeeper is the one which manages all the nodes. Hutch master, Hadoop master also there. Hutch region server. So all are Hutch means Hadoop. Hutch region server, another region server. Here store is there. Store file, store file, store file, Hutch file. Then you see memory store. Another store is there. So here memory stores are there. Hutch log also there. So DFS claim. Finally, we have different data nodes. So this is the master node. And then Hadoop, we have in the Hadoop system, we have many data nodes. So the data nodes are countless such. You can add n number of data nodes. All will be managed by these master nodes. So Zookeeper is the one which manages the node. Who is the leader, who is the member will manage. Suppose one leader is failing, then it will assign different leader. Zookeeper. Touchbase depends on Zookeeper and by default manages a Zookeeper instance as the authority and cluster state. So we have different region servers, which is the HDFS. All are working on HDFS. The Zookeeper, it creates a cluster, it assigns the master, and it assigns the members. Suppose the master is not alive, then it will remove the master with different, it will select different leader or master. So the root table holds the list of .meta table. So here we have master and then client also there. We have different root servers, region servers. The root server also it is maintaining the metadata. Meta table holds the list of all user space regions. So region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, like that. So it is assigned by, so region wise it is assigning the data. Now Hive, how Hive works with HBase, that also we'll see. What is Hive? Hive is data warehousing application in Hadoop. Query language is HQL. Variant of SQL tables stored on HDFS as flat files. So you can see here Hive clients, Thrift application, JDBC application, ODBC application. So Hive can interact with other application, other databases also. Hive Thrift Client, Hive JDBC driver, Hive ODBC driver. Then Hive server is connected to these drivers. So command line interface, then Hive web interface, job client, file system, Metastore. So in the Metastore, what is there? Hive Metastore database. So here also it is storing the data. This is a Hadoop cluster, job client and file system. Hadoop cluster means you can have a number of nodes, maybe hundreds of nodes can be used. Hive storage and compute. So this is the way the Hive architecture works actually. Apache Hive architecture. The advantage is these tools are freely available. You can use for making your products. Hive components. The cell component is there, driver is there, compiler is there, execution engine is there, Metastore. In Metastore, schema and location in HDFS and SERDI also there. So what is cell? Cell allows interactive queries. Driver as session handles fetch and execute. Compiler has parse and compiles actually, optimize. Tag of stages like MR, HDFS. So MapReduce is inbuilt in all, HBase, Hive, everywhere. What is the data model? Tables are columns, int, float, string, and boolean. Also list is there, map for JSON like data. Partitions, for example, range partition tables by date. Buckets also there. Cost partitions within the ranges, useful for sampling, join, and optimization. So these are all the three steps actually: tables, partitions, and buckets. What is Metastore? A database basically, namespace containing a set of tables. So we are going to see, we are going to use Hive and data HBase, how it is working. Holds table definitions, column types, physical layout, holds partitioning information, can be stored in Derby or MySQL and many other relational database. Pig. So what is Pig architecture? So here we have Pig scripts, grunt cell, Pig server, parser, optimizer, compiler, execution engine, again MapReduce, finally storage is HDFS. Here what we are going to do, we are going to connect HBase also. So how we are going to connect? That is the exercise we have. Big data model. So 1, 2, 3, these three records, AVI, Nitin and Arav. Age is there, Bangalore, Delhi, different places are there. Fields are there, bag, tuple and all there. So some of the definitions. What is atom? Atom is any single value in this language regardless of data and type. Big atomic values are long, int, float, double, byte array, char array. A field is a piece of data or a simple atomic value. Example 26 or AV, whatever. Tuple is formed by ordered set of fields where the fields can be of any type. This is the advantage. Field can be of any type. So in typical our SQL database, so the types is restricted, but here we can see any combination of field, combination of data type is possible. Similar to the row in RDBMS table, AVI and 26. An unordered bag is an unordered set of tuples. Is used as bag. A bag is represented by a vector, a set actually. A set can have key value pairs. Map. A set of key value pairs is known as map. Map is represented by the square brackets. So here we have key and value pair. Relational data, a bag of tuples is known as relation, and these are unordered. So what we'll do, I'll just start some exercises. How we are going to do? Are you going to do in parallel or you are going to see only demo? So I'm okay with anything. So just I will arrange. So this is the Google Cloud platform. where I have created a data proc. What is data proc? I'll open and show. So my GCP account, this is, so if you go to the left and there is, you search data proc, see data proc, here cluster you have to select. So I created one cluster already. You can create one more cluster. See, the window opens like this. You give some name, maybe BIT F1 three node. Here central is the region. Standard one master n workers. Basically, what I have done is one master I selected, two workers I have selected. Policy okay, versioning. So here what you have to select. So I did many experiments. I found if we select Jupyter, Jupyter Notebook, then HBase, Five, Zookeeper, Fling. Fling is like Spark only, Solar. So if I select all this, then it no this experiment completed within 3 or 4 minutes. Within 3 or 4 minutes, it generates the data pack, the cluster. The Hadoop cluster is created within 3 or 4 minutes. Name must contain only lowercase letters. Okay. Bid Durg. Then you go to the next step, configure nodes. Here, master is there. You can see here, four, four virtual CPUs are there. For our computation, I think two are more than sufficient. Then 500 GB data just reduced to 100. Then here again, two virtual CPUs. Instead of 500, I make it 50, 50 GB. Remaining leave it. This also as it is. This also as it is. Now you create. We'll see how it is. See, multiple validation errors, insufficient CPU's quota. Okay, for me it is not allowing because my free version can take only 8 virtual CPUs. So already I have consumed 6 CPUs. See here, already one cluster is running. It already consumed 6 CPUs. So you create the whatever steps I have showed you. Same way you create. When you create this cluster, it takes 3 to 4 minutes to create the cluster. Once it is created, so are you doing in parallel? So if you are doing parallel, I'll send the steps through the chat box. and firewall configuration. Now I will show the firewall configuration. So in the chat box, I will send the screenshots. I will go with the demo. Okay, Ravu. Okay, just a minute. So the steps I was sent through.
Only demo actually.
Yeah.
Is there any other way to do this? Means if I install anything in my computer.
Yeah, different ways are there, but the cluster is required. You need 3 machines, at least 3 machines, one master and two slaves required. So to configure it takes a lot of time. Basically, I was doing actually, but now the data prep is the easiest way. Within 3 minutes, your cluster is ready. So this is the more I feel very comfortable with this because one point of time I spent several hours to create a cluster. For example, one master I have to create, then again a slave, 2 nodes, and everything you have to install. You have to install Hadoop, you have to install HBase, Hive, Pig, Zookeeper, then Zookeeper configuration. So it takes a lot of steps actually. It takes hundreds of steps. So it takes several hours basically to configure 3-node cluster. But now Google has given freely some Dataproc is the easiest one. Just within 3 minutes, your cluster is ready. I think this is the one you have to use. My feeling, strong feeling. If you have any other alternative, you can always go with that. I'm okay
Sir,
with that.
I have a question, sir. If I installed in my machine Hadoop, then I should have to also install this Spark and Zookeeper, all other things we should have to install explicitly, right?
Yeah, for HBase you need all this. For HBase, for Cassandra you don't require this, but for HBase you need Hadoop, you need the Hive, Pig, Zookeeper to do the exercise. Today's exercise you need all this. So that is the reason.
One request, please give us these codes. We are not doing it parallelly, but this video will with us, so we can. When we create this Google platform account, then we will practice.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Give this example.
Anyway, we are recording the video. Video is available. You go through the steps. And
yes.
then
But please give the codes also.
Yes, agreed. So that anyway, I'm typing in the chat box. You can note down. You copy paste to your local machine. And finally, I will share the text file also. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Done. Yeah. So now what I'll do, whatever the steps are there, I'll just type in the. If somebody want to try, you try also. But at the same time, what I'll do, I will show you also. Then finally, I will share the text files. Already the installation step I shared yesterday night with Sudeep sir. Sudeep sir told he will share with the team, the group in the WhatsApp. Anyway, the remaining files also I will send. Once the session is over, I will send remaining files also, so that you can try yourself. But if somebody want to try, you can try parallelly also. See, the problem is once this data consumes a lot of money also. One day it takes 1,000 rupees. So even though 3 months Google is giving free of cost, we will consume this 22,000 within 22 days. So what you have to do at the end of once you complete the session, just select this and delete it, so that your money will not get consumed. And anyway, next time again, when you come back, again create Dataproc. Some few steps are there. Do the steps then you continue the work. So that is the way I am doing. So I will not always keep this Dataproc running. Yesterday I started because today we may not get enough time to configure all this. So that is why yesterday I configured and left. Usually what I will do, I will end of the day before going to bed, just delete and go. Then next day when it is required, I will open. Otherwise, I don't open. That way you can consume money here. Otherwise, this money will be consumed just like that. So it takes at least 1,000 rupees per day. Now the next step is we'll go to the firewall. What is the firewall configuration? So network services, VPC network, firewall. In the VPC network, go to the firewall. Then you create some tags. For example, Hadoop is the one. The Hadoop, go to Hadoop. You see here, when you create one new firewall, you will get like this. For example, when I edit this, see, this is the way you will get. So what you do, you have to target tag, you have to enter as Hadoop. Then source IP is 0.0.0. It allows any machine to interact. And then here you see the TCP ports. What we are opening here is 9000, 8088, 8123, 8020, 9042. These are all with the different application. You need this. For example, 9042 mainly Cassandra is using. 8020. So it is used by, I think, HDFS something, H123. So like this, for each one will use one port. So you have to open this port. UDP optional, just I enable in this case. Then this is the firewall setting. Then one more firewall setting is for Cassandra. Cassandra ports are different. So here you see 9000, 9042 is there, 8088, 9870 is different, 91799, 8020, 8123. These ports are a little different. So Cassandra also you have to create a tag. So here this is the tag for that. Once the tags are created, now you go back to your virtual machines. So virtual machine is the one here, VMs are there. Here you see compute engine, virtual machine instances. You can see 3 virtual machines are created here. Here you see 3 virtual machines are created. One is master M, W is worker 0, worker 1. So US central region. These IP addresses are very important. You can note down these IP addresses in your machine, not this one. Then here you can open new windows, SSH windows. I already opened 3. I think 3 are sufficient. So this is not required. So this is not required anyway. So just close this. Then these 3 are already I opened. Morning only I opened. This is the first step. The second step is, suppose if you want to transfer some files to this virtual machine, how you are going to do? Using the WinSCP, you can do that. WinSCP configuration again. So this is WinSCP. So WinSCP configuration is, first you have to create private key and public key. I will show you how to do. Putty gen you have to use. Putty gen. See Putty gen. What you will do here? Just generate. See here randomly you generate some random movement of the mouse. Then you see a public key is generated. This is the public key. So here key command what I am giving is my mail ID. Here my mail ID I am entering. Then here some key Ubuntu something you enter, whatever you want to enter. Ubuntu. Then once you have done this, save public key, save private key. So save public key, you can note down this also, just you can copy paste. See, finally this mail ID is coming here. See here. If you copy this, what you will get? See, this is a public key. This is a public key. Then the private key, how you are, when you save the private key, do not match. Okay, 1 minute. Save the private key. See here, this private key already I saved. So you can enter some value, private 1. So save it. Then you will get the like ppk, that ppk file you will get. So once you save, now we have got a public key and private key. So what you have to do is the next step is here, 2 things you have to do. One is session you have to create here, site manager. Here new site. The host name is whatever the VM virtual machine ID, this one. So you can copy this. This is a host name. Then port number, leave it. Username. Username is your mail ID. Basically, our mail ID is, I will copy my mail ID. And password is whatever, same. Suppose Ubuntu, if we are given here, same, or the advanced section you go. Here, authentication you have to give. Private key file is there, just select this. Whatever private key what we generated now, is this private.ppk. Select this. Okay. Now, so now you have to enter this. Now save it and then log in. In my case, I already created. See here, Big Data Analytics 104, 197, 124, 204. I will log in now. My password is see now my virtual machine. I can communicate with my virtual machine. I can copy all the files from my local machine to the virtual machine. Then one more thing is this public key you copy, then you go to here in the instance. In the instance, you click on the instance here. So you can edit also. Just click on edit. Now you have to search SSH. SSH. You have to search. See here, you have one SSH key. Here you can see my SSH key already I copied. I pasted here. So whatever I copy from here, copy and then paste here. That's all. So once you've done this, your WinSCP can communicate with the virtual machine. You can transfer any file. Suppose you want to transfer some files, you can transfer. For example, this cust file was here. I just copied here. So like this, we can do the file transfer. So this is one important thing you have to do. So I will cancel this one. I don't want to save this. So this is our virtual machine preparation. Once this is done, this is the first step. Dataproc has to be configured. Once Dataproc is ready, see now We have three machines already. If you want to do these steps manually, you will become tired because you have to install many things. I showed you, right, what and all need to be installed. One is HBase you have to install, Hadoop you have to install, Hive you have to install, Pig you have to install. How many you will install? How long you will install? If you have enough time, you do it by manually. But Dataproc automated everything. So my recommendation is use Dataproc for all your big data analytics research. Okay, we'll go back to HBase now. Let me close this putty generator. So what is the exercise? The exercise is we are going to create a HBase table from the big data. So one table will create, HBase table will create. Then we will see how the table is created. For that, see, I will reserve this window for HBase cell, HBase cell. So HBase cell is ready. Then here, what you can do is you can create a table, weather table. So yesterday I was working on the most of the exercise. So I have to remove some data, whatever available. Disable first. Yesterday I prepared all the exercise. So most of the tables are there already. So I'll remove first. Then freshly I'll create. So connection refuge weather. So if you type list, table, Something is taking time. Should not take this much time. Something wrong here. What I'll do? H base cell. Okay, list. Mm, something happening. Just a minute. Let me close this. Restart the VM. Maybe some timeout. I'll restart now. Stop. We'll try one time, then otherwise I'll show you in the afternoon session. So we'll continue the slide if this is not working. Afternoon I'll fix and I'll show you. Nothing to worry. So started now. Okay, some SSH issue happened. That is the reason. Some SSH issue happened. Something wrong with SSH. So something we screwed up. When we opened this, when I showed this demo, something SSH corrupted actually. So what we did here, we just gone here and SSH we did. So SSH we not modified anything, but still it got corrupted. We not modified anything. So what went wrong? We'll see. SSH. Not done anything here. We not saved. We not done anything here. We not touched anything. But still it got corrupted. So window not opening. That means so what went wrong? Yeah, this time okay. HBase cell. List. Okay, so let me continue the slides. I will fix this and come back. Something wrong. Table takes some more time. I don't know the reason. So let us continue with the slide. I'll fix and in the second session I'll show you the demo. Nothing to worry, it should be fixable. So here what we are going to see is, we are going to see NoSQL databases, Spark and RDD, Cassandra. In the NoSQL is not only SQL, so stands for not only SQL, class of non-relational data storage systems. Usually do not require a fixed table schema, or do they use the concept of joins. All NoSQL offerings relax one or more of the ACID properties. So you know ACID property, atomic. So we'll see this later. What is ACID property? Insert, delete, and so So we'll talk about the CAP theorem. So what is CAP theorem also we'll see. So one is consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. So your data has to be consistent. Suppose you store X, when you read, it has to read X only. Second one is availability. Availability in the sense, suppose if you access morning time also, it should be accessible, night time also accessible, or any time. Should be available. It should not take 1 hour, 2 hour at all. Immediately it has to come out. The data has to come out. Partition tolerance. That means how many partitions you are going to make. So that many nodes you are going to use. Suppose one partition is gone, one node is gone, then the data from here, it has to be that work whatever it is doing, its other partition should be able to do, or the data whatever it is doing is having, you should be able to retrieve from this. The CAP theorem is, once a writer has written, all readers will see what that write. Two kinds of consistency. Strong consistency, that is atomic consistency, isolation, durability. Asset property. So atomicity is the uniqueness. Then consistency, data should be consistent. Isolation. Then durability. How long you are storing the data. Weak consistency, basically available, soft state, eventual consistency. So we'll see the scale of eventual and strong. So this is eventual and strong. If you want very strong, the cost is more. If you want eventual, the cost is less, but the probability of accuracy is low. Some applications eventual is sufficient. For some application, you need very strong. System is available during software and hardware upgrades and node failures. So that is availability means system is available during software and hardware upgrade and node failure. Even on node failure also it should be available. Even upgrade also it should be available. So that is availability. Traditionally thought of as a server process available 5 nines, 99.999%. However, for large node system, at almost any point in time, there is a good chance that a node is either down or there is a network disruption among the nodes. Want a system that is resilient in the face of network disruption. A system can continue to operate in the presence of network partitions. So one node is failure, but still hardware is failure, but still the other nodes taking the work by this node, or the data is shared to the other node also. It's available through other node also. Here you can have at most 2 of these properties for any shared data system. So some are exhibiting these 2, some are exhibiting these 2, some are exhibiting these 2. NoSQL solutions fall into 2 major categories: key value pair, big host table, Amazon S3, Voldemort, Scalaris, Redis. So schema-less, which comes in multiple flavors, that is column-based. So today we are going to see Cassandra. Apart from that, we have CouchDB, MongoDB, Neo4j, H-based. So what is key value pair? What is the advantage? Very fast, very scalable, simple model, able to distribute horizontally. Cons is many data structures cannot be easily modeled. So that is the one more problem. Schema-less, what is the advantage? Schema-less data model is richer than key value pairs. Eventual consistency, many are distributed, still provide excellent performance and scale. So if you see the scale, so this is eventual, this is strong. So the schema-less falls here, but still it is okay. For many of the applications, it is okay. Typically, no asset transactions are there. So here it is very strong. For example, you transfer money to bank. Here we need strong asset. But when you retrieve from some information from Amazon, it's not so much critical. Okay, done. We will stop here. I will fix the whatever the hiccups in the HBase. I'll come back on this. So this should happen immediately. So I will fix this and come back. In the second session, we'll start with this. So then we will go to Cassandra exercise also. So can we conclude, sir? Now this session, can we conclude now?
Thank you so much, Anvanathan
Thank you,
sir. It was a really nice experience to have you with us. And you gave a nice idea about Hadoop cluster installation and edge-based, column-based databases. Thank you so much, sir. And surely we will meet you at 3 o'clock
Yes, madam.
for next session.
Yes.
Thank you once again.
Thank you, madam. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Yeah.
So,
Partha sir,
Chaitanya,
can we
ma'am.
take 5 minutes break so that we can start from 12:10?
Yes, ma'am. We'll start from 12:10.
Okay, sir. Okay.